everybody. Welcome to another episode of After Hours with Nia. We have Chronically Fit with Chiara. You've seen her before. If you haven't, go watch the episodes we've done together. We've done, I think, actually three before this.
Oh,
Yeah, the first one was just her and I, and then we did two with her and her husband as well. Chiara has been living with chronic illness her whole life, and she recently got a new diagnosis, which I'm really happy about, and I'm going to ask her a lot about. Um, so, yeah, let's just dive right into it. So, I know that you have Lyme's disease, and then you still were kind of feeling like there was something else, right?
exactly. I was diagnosed with neurological Lyme disease back in 2017, and I treated for years with antibiotics and natural remedies. Still was not feeling significantly better. And so kind of reached the point where all my doctors are like, there's something else here going on. We just don't know what. So it's been a long process of trying to figure that out. But I think at this point, we've got a pretty good idea now.
And so, what were you officially diagnosed with?
I've been diagnosed with hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It is a genetic connective tissue disorder.
Wow, okay. And also, like, I'm sorry to make you repeat it, but what's it called again?
A lot of people haven't heard of it because it is considered a rare disease. So it's Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and there are multiple subtypes. So mine is the hypermobile type.
Okay. And so what does that really mean, or what are like the symptoms? Because you never know, somebody could watch this and then test for it, you know?
Yeah, so I basically what it is it's a connective tissue disorder. So my body doesn't handle collagen the way it's supposed to. And that results in me having very loose, mobile joints. And there's a lot kind of more to it than that because we have connective tissue all over our bodies. So it impacts everything in some type of way. But the real markers for me were the hypermobility of my joints, the chronic pain, the comorbidities that go with it, like dysautonomia. So my autonomic nervous system doesn't work as it should, and then some and I can't even say that word, gastro issues as well. And then the markers for histamine issues too. So mast cell activation syndrome or other disorders with your mast cells, which have to do with your allergies and immune responses, basically are hyperactive.
It's just so crazy how it took years, like forever, for you to get a diagnosis. So, how did you even come across this? Like, or, give me the process of that.
So with my chronically fit account, I have met a lot of people with really similar symptoms as me, and we kind of form this own little community. And I've watched as people around me got diagnosed with this, and it's something I had never heard of before because it is pretty rare. But it just kind of happened that we all sort of found each other, and it got me curious. So I've been researching this with my husband for over a year now. And at first I wasn't sure about it because I didn't meet the typical outlines for it. So or at least what doctors, they very, very, very briefly kind of touch on it in med school, but it's not really dived into. And so it's only those extreme markers that really help. If you have those, you might get it, diagnosed. But that would be like being very, very flexible. It can go along with something called Marfan syndrome, which is being really tall, very thin face, very long fingers and toes. And I didn't have those um, markers. So which is probably one of the reasons why it kind of went under the table, and just a lot of doctors aren't really familiar with it, or they don't even know how to test for it. But in 2017, they came out with a more concrete way of diagnosing the hypermobile type. And that's been helpful, I think, for a lot of patients to be able to kind of test themselves at home and be like, okay, I should probably bring this up to my doctor, which is what I did. When I noticed that I met the requirements based on those markers, I got more curious about it and kept doing research and realized that it's a spectrum, and I did fall on that spectrum.
Yeah, I know it's just so hard because there's just so many illnesses. There's so many different things that anything could be, and there's so many symptoms that are kind of the same in all these diseases and illnesses. So you probably went through thousands of testing, like different tests before getting this diagnosis. So I'm sure you probably were hesitant to even bring it up to a doctor because it's like another thing that you try and maybe don't get the answer you're looking for.
Absolutely. I was very scared to bring it up. It wasn't until I kind of had other members of my healthcare team sort of suggest it to me and be like, you should get evaluated for this. And that happened 3 times. And after that third time, I was like, okay, I've had 3 different people that I work with tell me I should look more into this. I better look more into it. Um, I started with a genetic counselor who wasn't able to diagnose, but she did direct me of where to go. And she was like, yeah, you definitely want to get this looked at. Like she couldn't diagnose,
Mhm.
but she'd seen it quite a bit and was like, yeah, go get evaluated.
And so,
So
oh,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I basically didn't even know where to start with that. I had called up all these hospitals that I was told to contact, and they just kept turning me away. Or like, no, we don't diagnose this. Or the one guy who did it, he retired, or he's not taking patients anymore. I was like, somebody's got to be able to do this. Fortunately, the Ehlers-Danlos Society has a directory of practitioners that are familiar with it and can help treat various things or help diagnose. And so I was able to find someone through that.
That's great. And when you got that diagnosis, what did you feel? Like, what was that like? Like, was it just relief? Was it sadness? Was it, what were you feeling?
I think I expected to feel relief, and then like on that very first day, that's definitely what I felt. Like I like cried at the doctor's office, and like after because I just one couldn't believe somebody actually listened to me and took it seriously. But then, so I did get that relief of like, okay, this entire lifetime of mystery, pain, and illness finally has an answer. So there was definitely a lot of initial relief, but then since then, it's just kind of been overwhelming, which I didn't expect. It was a lot to take in. Like, it was more a process than I really thought it would be because going in, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I have this. I've been researching it for a long time. Like, I do feel like I fit this. But for the first time to have something like actually confirmed that makes sense and have been listened to, and it's like, yes, you do have it. Like, whoa. Like, I don't even know. Like, I've never had that before. So this is different.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking, right? It's like even though you kind of knew, it's still it's the same thing with, Chris getting his cancer diagnosis. Like it was one of those things where we had a feeling and then when you hear it, you're like almost not surprised, but still just kind of like stunned. It's kind of like, whoa. And it just makes it more serious. Um, so is there like treatment or, what do you do now?
So that's been the kind of part of the tough part of processing is knowing that there isn't any cure or real treatment. It's just going to be this is what it is, and it's going to get worse over time. So that part's hard to take in, but there are things I can do to slow it down and even reverse some of the progression for the time being, which is mainly going to be physical and occupational therapy so that I can build up the muscles around my joints to help stabilize them more and to also learn how to do kind of like my activities of daily life in a safer way for my joints.
Mhm.
And then it's just going to be more testing to figure out all the different ways my different organs and body systems have been affected so that I can determine if there's any, medications that are needed. And also probably getting used to having some splints, braces as needed, and down the line, probably some mobility aids.
Mhm. And is that like a for sure, like that happens across the board with this diagnosis?
It definitely like does progress. I'm very fortunate that I have the hypermobile type and not the classical or the vascular types, which can be more serious, especially the vascular type is very, very serious. That's the one that can lead to aneurysms in the heart and early deaths. So I was very worried about that in the beginning. We haven't completely ruled those other types out with genetic testing yet, but my doctor says like she's not concerned. I don't meet those markers. The tests we've done so far don't show that, so that's all good. But it is a spectrum, so people definitely have a range of how they're affected by it, and your daily life can really impact it too.
Definitely. And the thing when you have chronic illness or just really anything having to do with your health, it's so complicated and it's never just one thing, whether you're trying to get diagnosed or you have aches and pains, like it's usually one thing leads into another and leads into another, or it's just this endless rabbit hole. I mean, imagine if you were still trying to get a diagnosis, for another 10, 15, 20 years. And then what, and it's the same with when Chris was diagnosed, it was already stage 4 because we're like, "Oh, you're probably just not feeling well," or, "Oh, it'll pass," or, there's so many things that go into it. And then you have like the crappy doctors, which we've talked about in previous episodes. But yeah, like I think it's great that at least and you can do whatever you need to do. And I love that you have your chronically fit page where you're showing how to be healthy and active, but also real, like you post like, "Oh, I'm struggling with this," or, because it's rough. And I think that people should be more honest about it instead of just smiling all the time and pretending like nothing's wrong because they're on Instagram. So I really appreciate that you're just like real about it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And it's definitely guiding where I'm kind of going from here with my own workouts because well, at the same time that I was diagnosed with this, in the same appointment, I was diagnosed officially with POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I've always known I've had it. Whatever. I was like, yeah, I'm not surprised at that at all. Um, which is kind of how I started doing the type of workouts that I do, a lot of seated and modified things because I would get so dizzy trying to work out otherwise. I mean, I would almost like black out if I went for a jog. So it took a
Yeah.
while to figure out what worked. And that's kind of what has guided me. But now there's this whole other part of like, okay, you can't work out like a normal person because you have to worry about, subluxating or dislocating your joints with different movements. So that's a whole new thing to navigate now.
Yeah,
But
I can imagine that that's scary, but I think having like the knowledge of what it is and what could happen definitely helps. And Matt is really supportive too, so you're lucky to have that support. Um, Somebody said that they love our hair. Thank you. Yeah, so since we last spoke, like you got your diagnosis and then I got some news too. So just a little backstory, or you guys can go watch previous episodes, but my boyfriend Chris was diagnosed with stage 4 throat cancer. It was in his obviously throat and lymph nodes. And we recently went and he found out he is cancer free, which is great. It's a miracle. It was funny though when we're in the doctor's office and they said like, "Yeah, so you're good to go. We'll just see you in like another 4 months." And I literally went, "Wait, stop." I like told everyone to shut up. I was like, "Everybody stop." Like, "What did you say?" Like I literally had them say, I was like, "So are you saying there is no cancer?" And they're like, "Yeah." And then I literally just remember being like for like 2 minutes, and then, like, after the fact, I was, like, crying, I was, like, so confused. But yeah, it was, like it felt like that relief of, like, "Okay, now we can just kinda plan what's coming next," but then that relief was, like, short-lived, like, kinda what you were saying, and then it becomes, "Okay, well, now there's new issues," or there's, having to go get screened every 4 months for the next 5 years, like, we have our next appointment in September, and you know, you never
it's a
know. And like, with the cancer treatment, I have a lot to say about it, but I'm really grateful that we had this experience because I used to always say, like, "Oh, I would never do chemotherapy or I would never do radiation." And I heard that from a lot of people as well that were like, "Don't let him do that. Like, it's horrible for you." And I get where they're coming from. Like, if he had staged, like, 1, I probably would have been like, "Maybe let's try something different." When you're already towards the end stage, you have to take those drastic measures. It's like high risk, high reward.
I mean,
Um
life or death at that point. It's so different.
Exactly, yeah. But, it definitely does have long-lasting permanent side effects because what people don't realize well, one, radiation is, like, literally poison, and so is the chemo, but, the chemo attacks the healthy cells and the cancer cells. So, pretty much your whole immune system, your whole entire body is being attacked constantly, and so now he has kidney disease, and he
Mm.
has neuropathy, which means that like his hands and feet get like weak or have pain and things like that. Energy levels are low, but at the same time, like he is doing so much better. I feel really confident about things. But now there's just all these different doctors to go to. You have to go to the kidney doctor, the heart doctor, the brain doctor. It is a lot.
Like you think that, okay, we got the good news, like, all right, we're in the clear, but it's not reality. And now it's this whole other process that you're going through, which is a lot to take in and have to handle. I think you guys are doing it so gracefully, and I appreciate you sharing your story with this because it's something a lot of people go through and can feel very lonely and isolating. And that's not something I have been through, so it helps me too to hear about this type of experience and hopefully never have to experience it. But it's part of life for a lot of people, unfortunately. So I do appreciate all the information that you've shared along the way.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's also like what surprised me the most was that I actually do feel like traumatized by it, and I definitely know that Chris is too. I don't know why I didn't expect that. Like I just expect like, oh, he'll be sick, but like it'll be fine. It is a
Talk
truly
about that part.
yeah, it's like a truly traumatic experience for everyone involved, especially like but in different ways. You know what I mean? Like for him, he's more triggered when we have to go see a doctor. But for me, it's like certain areas of the house where like I remember, certain things happening. So for a few weeks, I was definitely in a bad space, like just really feeling like just flashbacks, just anything weird he did. I was like, we need to go to the hospital. It is
Absolutely.
very yeah, it's very like I don't want to like self-diagnose, but it really feels like PTSD sometimes. But luckily I do the healing work that I do. I know how to work through it. I know eventually it'll just be like a bad memory. But do you have kind of those same feelings, like maybe things that you've experienced throughout, your illness that is traumatizing?
Yes, definitely. I have been diagnosed with both PTSD and complex PTSD. So the initial event where I was in the hospital and they gave me a steroid that I had a really severe allergic reaction to and almost kind of died in that moment and thought I was not going to make it. That was definitely like a just standalone traumatic event that I've been in treatment for with therapy for years because of that. It was frightening, but there was also the whole years of medical gaslighting and mistreatment by doctors that created its own kind of complex trauma that has been harder to work through. I mean, every time I have to go to the doctor, I I hate it. It's full of anxiety, but I think that, Matt hasn't really talked about it too much, but I think he kind of feels some of what you feel as well. I mean, he gets very worried about me. I know he doesn't really talk to me about it much because I think he doesn't want to burden me with that. But I know he's afraid. He said it before. He's just afraid that I'm going to die um, because of these things. And sometimes it is so serious and it is so scary, and we never really get a lot of answers. Um, so I think that like if I'm just not feeling well or like I'm, feeling like I'm gonna pass out or something like that I can handle, but it's triggering to him because we've been through it so much and now it's like always okay, something's wrong, like something's wrong. And it's very triggering and feels like a really big issue in a moment.
Yeah, that's one thing is I think Matt and I should probably like talk more because him and I have more of like the kind of outside caregiver type role where you and Chris, maybe even you and Chris should talk, about your experience like being the person who's affected. Because it's like I said, it's like traumatizing for both just in different ways.
Mhm.
Um, And I wouldn't say one is worse or better than the other, like, they both suck.
No, well, I would never wanna be on his side of it. I'm glad he really takes care of us all so much because, it's that part is so hard, having to watch and not be able to fix it even though you so badly want to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do think that doing Reiki for him and even having my friends do Reiki for like I truly like that worked wonders for him during the process. But it definitely gets to a point where like I'm so exhausted that I can't even muster up any energy for anything. But I'm just glad that we can like talk about these things because I think there are a lot of people who maybe are having health issues or somebody they love is having health issues and a lot of people feel uncomfortable like talking about it or they don't have anyone to talk to about it, you know what I mean? Because it's just so, well, I mean, sad. It's kinda
It
sad.
is. A lot of people like that's one area Matt and I both have kind of said like we don't like we love our friends and we love our family so much and we know they try their best, but we don't feel that support that we really need when we talk about it because a lot of people will just they only want to hear the good and they don't want to accept that sometimes things just are hard and sometimes they're not going to get better. Like this condition, it's not going to get better. I just have to deal with that. Doesn't mean I can't make the best of my life. I'm still happy and alive, but
Yeah,
it's not. It's just reality, and I have to take care of myself. Um, but some people don't want to hear that, and it's just like a toxic positivity when really you just need somebody to you need a shoulder to lean on.
yeah, that's one thing that I also another thing I learned through this experience because I didn't even realize, but I used to be one of those like toxic positivity people,
Mhm.
without even meaning to, because somebody be
Yeah,
like, "Oh, I have this problem." I'd be like, "You're gonna get through it. Like, it's fine. Don't even worry." But now I realize, like, yeah, it sucks. Like, you're right. Like, it's shit. You know what I mean? Now I'm just like, yep, we're like hot mess express, and that's okay.
yeah,
'Cause, but I think sometimes people don't know what to say. If you're saying like, oh yeah, I had like a flare up, or I'm not feeling well today, maybe they just don't know what to say. But I wish they wouldn't overthink it. Like literally, you could just say like, oh, that sucks.
yeah. That's it. It's like, yeah, it sucks. I don't really like I don't need you to solve the problem because it's not you can't solve it. So it's okay. Don't try.
Yeah, no, it's just I definitely get what you mean by not feeling supported by your family and friends because I was full of resentment for everyone around us. I just felt like everybody kind of abandoned me and just like let me take care of everything, which I didn't mind. I mean, of course I'll take care of them, but it was just like I don't know. I just wasn't supported at all and I feel like they weren't even there for him, which pissed me off even more. I'm like that's
Sure.
insane. But recently, somebody actually, one of the family members actually apologized to me and was like, you know what, I should have been there more for you. And that wasn't fair. So I really did appreciate that. I think sometimes people eventually come around.
Yeah, and then it's just forgiving and accepting. That is good. At least somebody realized and reached out because I think when things like that happen, you expect the community to be around, the person that needs them, and maybe initially they are, but or not. But it can quickly fade away when things go on for months at a time or years, and but you're there. You had to be there. You stayed and helped the entire time, and that's takes a lot. That takes a lot. So, I'm sorry that you didn't have the support that you needed to.
Well, I'm sorry for you guys too. It just sucks. And it's so funny though. I was so mad because I feel like my whole life on TV, you see like the neighbors come over with a casserole and like all that. I didn't get a
Yeah,
single casserole.
I know, right? Come on.
Like, it was so not cool, but I understand, like, if I ever was in a situation now where if, like, a friend was sick or something happened, like, I would go to their house and, like, cook for them or clean something, like, because I feel like people are like, "Oh, if you ever need something, call me." I'm not gonna call you and be like,
Oh,
"Oh,
I
clean
know,
my
right?
house."
Right, exactly. We're like, "Oh, what do you need?" I'm like, "Well, everything." Just pick something.
I love that, just pick something. That is true, that is true. I think, I saw the oh my god, have you ever seen the movie House Bunny?
Yeah.
Yeah, when she said, "Kindness is love with its work boots on." And I love that because it's so true. Everyone wants to like post a picture and be like, hashtag love everyone. But then
Mhm.
you don't actually ever do anything for anyone. And I don't care if you post a picture of Chris and be like, oh, I'm praying for you. No offense, your prayers, like, well, actually, I take it back. Prayer is powerful. But you know what I mean? It'd be a little bit more
Yeah,
powerful if you actually like showed up.
exactly. Exactly.
Like, it's just insane, and it makes me realize, like, that a lot of people and I don't think they do it on purpose, but I think a lot of people are so consumed with themselves, and they're always like, "I'm worried about me," or "I need to work on this, I." Like, all the people who are depressed all the time or, like, anxious all the time, it's because 'cause they're spending too much time thinking about themselves. If you actually, like, cared or spoke more to somebody else, you'd probably be way less stressed out and feel better about yourself too that you're doing a good thing, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's just so much, like, self-focus.
It Born
Awkward
out to it. Yeah.
silence. No, but I'm so happy though that you got your diagnosis. I'm happy that, Chris is on his healing journey. But it's definitely like a hard thing to recover from. And I know
I mean,
with
it can take years. I think people expect like, oh, you're cancer free, like, all right, you're good. And that's just not how it is. It's gonna take a long time, both like physically, but also that emotional recovery too.
yeah, that's another thing that was annoying was when he finished all his treatment, and then we had to wait a long time, by the way, to get him screened to see if it was gone. That was awful. But anyways, so they find out he's cancer free, and people were like, "Oh yeah, dude, like let's go out tomorrow, like let's do this." And he's like, "I'm sick," and they're like, "Oh my god, like is it back?" And he's like, "No, you freaking idiot!" Like, I just because he did 3 8-hour chemo sessions and then 40 days consecutive
I
radiation treatments.
can't even.
Like, bruh, he has permanent bodily damage. You know what I mean? And it's such a long process. It's It's really interesting too because I feel like people who have had cancer and like survived or just that have it in general are so I mean everyone's different, but I feel like they just have a different energy about them. Like I feel like I wouldn't fuck with a cancer patient. You know what I mean?
They're tough. They have been through it and they survived.
Yeah, and he was always like the youngest, like when we went to these places, and he used to say to me, like, I don't know how these old people are doing this. You know what
It's
I
a
mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that takes a lot when I am sure they are just exhausted with everything at that point.
yeah, I don't like
I respect that a lot.
I know that if I was 80 years old, I wouldn't have been able to do all that I did for him.
That is a whole other part of it too, like being the caregiver at the end of your life. I mean, why do people not talk about this stuff? I don't like. I feel like there's been zero preparation for any of aging. There should be more conversations about this.
Yeah, like who's helping the old people? Because I know that their kids are not doing it. I know that their kids are not doing it. If literally my partner's parents aren't helping me, I know that the freaking kids of these people are not helping them. Like I'm sure there's some good families out there, but it goes back to what I was saying. Like I feel like just nobody cares about other people anymore. They just want to post a selfie with hashtag love everybody. It's just messed up. I do worry about these old people. I know that there's you know, what are those called? You like pay people to like come check on them.
Like the home aides,
Yeah.
or
Or like Meals on Wheels and stuff I know
yeah,
there's those type of things. But even that to me or even like when you drop your parent off at like a nursing home, like honestly that's so heartless. I understand that maybe you can't like be their nurse, like maybe you have to have somebody, but like just take care of your parents. We all
I
know what happens at the nursing home. Nobody's, like, getting better and coming home. I know it's
It's
horrible.
like I get no, I definitely understand, like, there are cases where it's just they can't be home, and that is unfortunate. And then there's the cases where that's not what's happening, but I really appreciate the people that do step in like that, like, when my grandfather was alive, um, he stayed in his house and well into his 90s. He was pretty impressive, but he would wait like all day if he knew Meals on Wheels was coming. Like he would literally get his lawn chair and go sit in his driveway because he wanted to make sure that he was there when they showed up, and he appreciated it so much. Like it made his day. Like that was what he looked forward to, was just that woman coming to drop off his meal for the day. So I really appreciate the people that are supporting our elderly and being there for them.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And I do agree. Like some people are so sick that like they do need to be watched constantly like that. But I've even noticed because I've been to a lot of nursing homes for like different people that I've known. And it just makes me sad because most of the time these people don't have any visitors. Like their family comes like once a year.
So sad.
And I think, well, you can tell me if you agree or not, but I think it kind of goes back to that kind of like not knowing what to say or like feeling uncomfortable, whether if it's because it's triggering you to think about when you pass away or if you're just uncomfortable like with illness and things. But it's like, dude, one day that's gonna be you.
I know. I think we're just as a society so uncomfortable with aging. Like people just want to avoid it, and it's going. I mean, hopefully, if you're lucky, it's going to happen to you. So
That's my
I,
thing too. When people are like, oh my God, I don't want to turn 40. I'm like, you'd be lucky to turn 40.
like,
Not
there's so many
everybody gets
people that
there.
don't think. Yeah, there's so many people that don't think they're going to reach that. If
I
you're
don't
40 and you're up and you're walking and you're moving and you're working, like you are so lucky.
Yeah, yeah, literally. I mean, if you're walking at all, you're so lucky. You know, there's some people can't even walk. That's what blows my mind, and that's why I get really irritated sometimes. And I've been working on my anger lately, but I get irritated like when people complain like, "Oh, the internet's slow. DoorDash is taking forever." It's like, dude, if these are your problems, you are blessed.
I know.
Like,
I do. I get like I try not to be super angry, but I do get very frustrated with people that just don't take care of their health by choice. You have no idea what it's like to not have that. Like it's just sorry, like that's my camera. Um,
that's a
my
good
the
point.
one thing, yeah, like, and I always say this, like my grandfather always told me, like if you have your health, you have everything, and that is always in my head since I've gotten sick. I'm like, he is so right, because like yes, I've been sick my entire life, but it got a lot worse, and since that point of it getting worse, I realized how fortunate I was before. And like, I just wish that I had appreciated it even more and took even better care of myself, because it's true. Like, once you reach that point where you're sick or you're just not mobile or you can't work anymore or you can't go to school, it just changes everything. And so if you do have the privilege to work and you have the privilege to move, like you're so fortunate.
That's kind of the like irony of life is that, you don't know what you have until it's gone. But I also feel like
Uh-oh, we lost her for a second. Um, I'm sure she'll be back. Possibly the phone died. But yeah, I think it's just really
my bad.
important. Oh, there we go. We're back.
I saw my face. I was like, sorry, I got a phone call, I think, but yeah, I lost what I was saying. You go ahead. You were saying something.
I was saying something. I think I was just repeating what I was saying, that it's just really important to be grateful for what you have when you have it, to try, even though
Yeah.
it's hard to recognize it in the moment. I'm trying to be more proactive about that, to like spend a little time looking around every day and just being grateful for what I do have.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that that's like a superpower too. Is like being able to see the silver lining of things. Um especially when things are super hard. It's easy to be positive when they're easy. If you can do that when things are hard, I mean, you're like better than everybody. You know what I mean? Like you just are happier, you're healthier. It's good for you. But it is hard. It definitely is hard. Um, man, what else could we cover? I really wish that things like this weren't so weird to talk about. That's probably the thing that bothers me the most is like, why can't we just talk about it? Why do you avoid being uncomfortable? It's weird.
It is, especially around certain topics with it. Like, I have found that any mention of children, people get so weird. Like, if you are ill and are considering children, like there's just such mixed views on all of that. And if you try to like vocalize any of it, or I get going through like processing. I'm like, okay, like, is this the right move? Is it not? And it's just, again, people are like very opinionated on that. Like, there's just a lot of people that think that everybody should have kids. Um, and
Mm.
that just leave it up to God. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and it's all going to be fine. And I love God, and I do leave everything up to Him. But there are other, like, there's just other factors to consider. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
haven't.
having
Oh,
a
go ahead.
genetic condition has made me feel differently about it.
Yeah, no, I haven't even thought about that. Wow, yeah, people having opinions. So are you saying that like most people are telling you that you have to have kids?
I think most people are definitely pushing towards that because they just have their own realities that they want. You know, if they want grandchildren or things like that, they're not understanding like that as the parents, there's a reality that we would have to live. Like everybody's like, oh, we'll just help. Like you'll have so much help, but that's come on,
Just
come
like
on.
they helped you through all of
Yeah, like
this?
where's this help now? No, it's just not how it works. But there's parts of it that, like with my condition, with it being hypermobile, is that during pregnancy and childbirth and after, your body, I mean, every pregnant body physically changes after giving birth. But for me, it can really deteriorate. It cause the condition to progress a lot faster
Mm.
and be a lot worse. And I can't, at this moment, can't imagine being like a new mother feeling worse than I already feel. Like, I don't even know if I can handle it right now. I can't imagine it being worse. And then people are just like, well, like, you don't know that that's going to happen though. I'm like, okay, but it does happen to a lot of people with my same condition. Like, I need to consider those sorts of things. And I haven't found anyone to really like, have an honest conversation about that with.
That's just crazy to me too, because even like, healthy women have postpartum issues. So like of course you're gonna have some type of issue after that. That's just so upsetting to me. And the thing is like, let's say you did have a child and then you're super sick, you're struggling to take care of the child. That's not fair to the child. You know what I mean? So then you're
Exactly.
adding more issues to the like that's just not
Like, what
cool.
kind of mom do I wanna be? Like, I wanna be present and active. Like, I don't wanna be the mom like, and there's nothing wrong, like, I understand, like, other people can't do that, but for me personally, like, that's what I imagine being a parent like in my own life. Like, that's the if I can't be that, it's tough. Like, I'm not saying, I'm not gonna have kids. I still like, I wanna be a mother more than anything, but it's definitely made me rethink going about it and the timing and all of it. Um, I had something else and now I lost my train of thought.
Oh, it's fine. No, but yeah, I get what you mean too, because I definitely have people that are always telling me like, "Oh, you should have kids. You should have kids." To be honest with you, I've always thought I would like adopt a child. I never actually saw myself as like, being pregnant and like I just never. So having two stepkids, I'm like, dude, I'm set. Like if my parents say
Yeah,
anything, I'm like, you already got two, and that's all you're getting.
yeah, and that's so nice being able to kind of fill that role and get to experience motherhood that way, and that's something me too, like, I always was open to adoption, um, since getting married, we've been you know, obviously kids come up, and that's something that we were looking into, but
You're
now
looking
having a
into
diagnosis
adopting, maybe?
well, now looking into, like, this diagnosis, like, it was always on my mind. Matt wants his own child too, and so we were thinking about both and just we were experimenting this year, which is kind of how I got diagnosed. Is one of the doctors we spoke to was a fertility specialist who I wanted to meet with because of my health issues, to even know if it was a good idea. And she's like, "Well, you better get evaluated for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome." Um, and so since getting diagnosed, I'm like, well, now I don't even like. It's just a whole other thing. Like, I don't know where to go with this. Um, and the genetic part of it too is like I would never not have a child because of a certain like genetic condition, but at the same time, like I feel like I'm the only one that knows what this feels like. And for me, it's made me not always want to be here. And I just can't imagine putting my own child through that. And there is a 50% chance of passing it. So I'm like, it would be so hard. Like, fortunately, we would be able to catch it right, much sooner since I am already diagnosed. But it's just a whole other part that to grapple with, like, emotionally of like, okay, like, can I handle being the reason why my child is suffering their entire life? Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, no, I get that. And I really believe you'll make the right choice that's best for you. And just try not to let anybody sway you or make you feel bad because it's literally your life. It's Matt's life. There's already a lot going on. Like for me personally, to be honest, I've always said like I'm probably gonna adopt or just not have a kid. And it's not because I don't like children. I love children. I truly do. And I'm very maternal. But I've just never had that like like some people just like want to be a mom. I want to be a motherly figure, but I don't care if I birth a child. To me, that doesn't mean anything. For me, it's more
Yeah,
just like I love somebody.
same. I know. Like I've always wanted to be a mom, but a mom to anybody that needs it.
Exactly, exactly. That's kind of how I feel. And but yeah, having actual like experience with that now, I think I would not be able to deal with a baby. I honestly think I'd be one of those girls with like really bad depression because no, just having to and I don't mean this as like complaining, but like taking care of Chris was kind of like having a very sick newborn and like I don't know how people make it through that phase. Like just no sleep, constant cleaning and like stuff happening like oh my god, I honestly don't think I have it in me,
Yeah,
especially
you
after
lose
that.
yourself. You're just your whole life is just caring for somebody else in that time. It's hard.
Yeah, it's crazy to me when people say like they have twins or like triplets. Oh my god.
Oh, sometimes even more than that. I'm like, how did what?
No, the Octomom.
Yeah, literal superhero.
I don't think I would make it. No. No. I think it's also too like I love being alone and like I don't know, I just feel like I just need that personal alone time or I will not be a very nice person.
I totally get that.
But so how does Matt feel about you having a diagnosis? Is he just like, yeah, it doesn't change things, or how did he react?
Oh, Matt.
He probably was like, oh, it took us years.
He's just so funny. Like he's so sporty. He will realize that you were right about everything. And like nobody listened. He gets so angry on my behalf. He's just such a protector of me. And so he gets very angry at the doctors who missed everything. Right now, I think he's processing a lot of anger, especially at the doctors that had me like on antibiotics for a very long time, which is damaging. But it's at the time we thought that's what we needed to do. So he's just really frustrated that it took so long to get diagnosed. Like it's been my entire life, and not one person has picked up on this my whole life. And even though I've been complaining since I was a child of these symptoms, um, and just frustrated at you know at our social circle too, just feeling like he needs that support, and I don't know think that he's getting that either. And so it's just I don't know how to like I don't know that side of it. So we try to be there for each other, but we also really need support outside of each other. Um, and
Mhm,
that's like I think he's just having going through the anger and going through those stages of acceptance.
mhm. Yeah, I don't blame him. I really don't blame him because it's so frustrating. Like just because it's so much responsibility, nobody's supportive. Like it doesn't make sense because us as humans, like I just feel like we're meant to just like love and support and be around each other and it's just not that way anymore. It's really sad. So I get how he feels definitely, especially since it's not over either. It's still something ongoing, which I feel the same way with, the cancer diagnosis because at any time
Yeah.
it could be back.
Yeah, it's always like this kind of cloud that's there, and you're just good, enjoying life well, but knowing it's kind of is just there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
It's
girl,
funny.
life is so crazy.
I feel like when like the day I got diagnosed, like I don't know, like I expected, or I guess like personally, I'm like, man, like I just want to throw a party, like I just want to celebrate, and I'm like, why is the entire world not all overjoyed right now? But yeah, you just kind of forget that you are going through it on your own at the end of the day. And so, yeah, I agree. Those social circle, like the people around you, are so important to have to lean on.
Yeah, that's actually a funny thing you bring up the whole, like, why isn't the whole world happy? Because I honestly thought somebody was gonna throw us a party or something, like, you know what I mean? But people were just like, "Oh, good." Actually, you know what I noticed, and I wonder if you had a similar experience. So, when he was originally diagnosed with cancer, we had so many people, like, messaging us, calling us, being like, "Oh, we love you," like, blah, blah, blah. And then when we announced or just, like, we're telling people that he is cancer free, barely anything.
That's so weird.
I really think, honestly, this is horrible. I feel like people expected and maybe wanted him to die to be like, "Oh, yeah, I knew a guy." You know what I mean? Like, I really feel like this might be a negative thing to say.
Mm.
I feel like a lot of people are twisted like that. It's always like, I don't know, I just feel like there should have been more people saying congratulations than people saying like, "Oh,
Yeah,
enjoy the time you have left." Like, people would say that.
my God.
Yeah. So, like,
Like that. People like get they like tragedy though.
okay, hold on. This person's freaking rude. Okay, first of all, we're having a conversation. I don't need to answer every single comment, so you can leave. That's so rude. They're like, bro, if you don't answer the comments, why are you guys going live?
No, we're just
Sorry.
talking.
It's just rude. Like, I'm not dealing with that. Bye. No, that's one thing too. Ever since like going through this, I like stand up for myself now. Like, if I have something to say, you're gonna hear it.
Yeah, I actually feel the same.
Good, good. But anyways, thank you so, so much for coming on and just talking about this with us. And I will have her information below so you guys can follow her. And yeah, it's been a good chat.
That's fun. Thank you so much.
Of course. I'll talk to you soon.
See you.
Bye.